found guilty.
Justice can't bring Kelsey back.
But not without a price.
We did a deal with the devil.
Tonight at 6, the verdict and sentence in the murder of a young woman and the accomplice who could walk free.
She deserves every day that the judge may or may not sentence.
Denver 7 starts right now.
In the end, the judge decided Patrick Frazee deserved just as much mercy as Kelsey Berreth was shown. None. Good evening, and thanks for watching Denver 7. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden, and by now you have heard the verdict. Guilty of murder and several other charges and sentenced to life in prison. It
won't bring Kelsey Berreth back, won't give a child back her mother, parents back their daughter, but for a family that's been through hell, it is certainly a start.
Denver 7's Jennifer Kovaleski live at the Teller County Courthouse. Powerful statements, Jen, as Frazee was being sentenced.
Shannon and Ann, it was an emotional day in court. They read a letter from Kelsey's mom after he was sentenced, and she said that he showed no remorse. And what a sick man. They also talked about how Thanksgiving will never be the same because that's the day that Frazee killed her. The judge also had strong words for Frazee. He made him stand up and told him that his actions were vicious, senseless, without reason. The judge then says Kelsey spent her last night caring for you, and you viciously beat her to death the following day. He then goes on to say that you burned her body like it was trash. The judge called Kelsey a beloved daughter and a great mother. The district attorney also talked about the toll that these horrific details took on him and his prosecutors.
It was hard. We knew what her last moments on this earth were like. And yeah, it's heartbreaking because we know what happened to her. She was a wonderful, kind soul. So to be able to bring justice for what happened to her is an honor and something I will never forget.
Prosecutors called today bittersweet. They were grateful that they were able to bring justice to Kelsey and her family, but obviously this was a very senseless and something that didn't have to happen. Now, right before the judge sentenced Frazee, he told him that he deserved the maximum punishment for his actions, and that's exactly what he gave him. As Frazee left the courtroom here today, he left as a convicted murderer who will spend the rest of his life in prison. Ann and Shannon.
And Jen, tough words not just for Frazee, but also Crystal Kenny, a big presence in the sentencing.
Yeah, and prosecutors admitted today that she was both key to their case and certainly a tough pill to swallow. So break down what comes next for her case, Jen.
Crystal Lee Kenny, that's a question a lot of people want to know. A lot of people have questioned her plea deal. Did she get too sweet of a deal? Here's what happens next. She will be sentenced by a judge here in Teller County next month. That is what was part of the plea deal. After she testified, she would be sentenced. She is facing up to 3 years in prison. It will be up to the judge to decide exactly what that sentence is. But the District Attorney Dan May, had some pretty strong words. He admitted that, they didn't want to have to make that deal. But at the end of the day, the information that Crystal Lee gave them was information that they just wouldn't have had otherwise. They were able to corroborate a lot of the story that Crystal Lee told them, but without that, they really didn't know. They knew something bad had happened to Kelsey Berreth, but they didn't know what. They didn't know about the crime scene or the bloody mess that was in her condo that Crystal Lee comes down and cleans up. So there was a lot of really key evidence that comes from her testimony that the prosecution just wouldn't have known without it. So take a listen to what the DA had to say about that deal.
We did a deal with the devil. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, and I'm not proud of that. But there's no question that Kelsey wouldn't have had the sure justice today without making that deal with the devil.
A deal with the devil. That is what District Attorney Dan May called the deal with Crystal Lee. Now, one of the lead prosecuting attorneys also talked about Frazee's demeanor because he really showed no emotion as the verdict was being read, as he was being sentenced, and really throughout this entire trial. She said that they believe that Frazee may be a sociopath, meaning that he can't show any empathy for anything, have any emotion for these types of moments, and that may be what happened here. Ann and Shannon?
Justice for Kelsey Berreth.
Sad.
All right.
Yes.
Jennifer, thanks for your work.
Thanks, Jen.